Ah, no, this thing is... Nope. I am going to give that Hosem X08 another shot. I know I must have cracked the arm. That's the only way that that thing's going to come apart like that, for the pin to kind of still be stuck in there, unless, like, through osmosis somehow, it osmosed its way out. So, yeah, I'm going to give it a shot. But the thing that I kind of want to ask is, these China junk RCs, right? I call them China junks. There's a reason why I call them that. Doesn't necessarily mean that I think it's actual junk. It's just the way I talk. Where am I going with this? Because not all these China junks are pieces of garbage. Now, if I call something a piece of garbage, man. If I call it a piece of garbage, then, yeah, then it's like dual China junk piece of garbage RC. And right now, this Hosem X08 is pretty much falling into that category. It's falling into the category just like the X07 did, for me. I'm sure there's some people out here that had good experiences. There are some creators out there that I don't know what they're doing. I don't know how they run their stuff, man. But if this thing is 3S capable, what the heck kind of 3S are they talking about? Because I used a lightweight pack, and it just, for me, it can't seem to handle the possibilities of what 3S will do to this particular RC. And I'm telling you, at 250 bucks, man, save up another 100 and go get yourself like an Arrma Granite, Senton, Big Rock, something like that. That's probably going to be your better choice in that price range. So let's check out this Hosem X08. You know how there's that saying, fuck around and find out? Well, Hosem right now, fuck around and they're gonna find out. So anyways, today on RC Guy Garage, we've got the Hosem X08. We've got it on deck right now in the kitchen. Yeah, I know, it's in the kitchen. There's a reason why. I am coming across some other issues with this RC car. It's not only the ESC, it's the fasteners, the way things are done. Things are stripped out, not by me. Yeah, I'm definitely saying stay away from this particular RC car. And to keep it on the real, Hosem is watching. And what's funny is they actually complained about the fact that I'm calling their cars China junk. And I blasted them. So, like I said, just keep it real, man. They are always watching. So if you want to go ahead and make content on these particular RC cars, the numbers kind of prove themselves. It's just, man, there's definitely got to be an awareness brought out to particular cars like this that really are not worth your money. Do you really think that this RC car is worth 250 bucks? Even if you buy it at the 200 bucks, which is their pre-release sale or whatever the heck it is, you could definitely find it cheaper. But even then, are you just wasting your money? I'm kind of thinking you are. So I'll show you the couple of issues that I'm coming across. Taking apart all these fasteners, unless you use a good quality screwdriver, like, and I'll say good quality, but whatever. Something that's better than the China junk stuff that they give you. The screws or the lower pins that hold on the bottom, which I did have one break out right here, but the screws or pins that hold in the bottom, these things will not come out by using this because you need a larger blade screwdriver. So you need something that's like a number 2 to go ahead and pull these screws out, right? But I wanted to show you is that if you try and twist these out, they don't twist out. They're Phillips, but they don't twist because they're stripped. So I had to use my, almost called these pliers, but I had to use my cutters here. Actually grab these ones. Use my cutters to go ahead and pull this out because it just was not coming out. So now I can go ahead and give a pull here. And because I do want to kind of get this thing back into shape. But look at this. I don't even know where the screw is. So we are threaded at the very end right there. So that was part of the problem. It's basically threaded all the way from this edge all the way through. So I did want to pop this out. wanted to see where the crack was, and the crack is literally right there. My fingernail's stuck into it. So that's part of the issue with this particular car. I'll have to see if I can melt this to kind of bring it back to life. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the pin, check the pin for straightness. It is very slightly bent. Yeah, it's very slightly bent. It's bent right in the middle too. And good enough. So what I'll do is I'll put the pin in, right? So what it does is it threads into the arm. So I'm going to put the pin in. And I think what it is, I think it pretty much cracked right on the seam of the plastic. So sometimes these plastic, and it does, so I think it does have a seam. So sometimes these arms like this on these China junks, they will crack right at the seam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get my blowtorch, and I'm going to try to heat this up and melt this plastic together. What I'm hoping to do is maybe heat up this flat blade and try to see if I can heat that up, or I'm going to hit it with some flame right now just to see if I can kind of melt that together. So it seems like it actually didn't work. As you can see, the seam is open right there. So if I push that all the way in, I can see that it's open right there. It's almost as if I need to add some plastic. So what I think I'll do is I'm going to take a zip tie. I'm going to try and melt a zip tie into that slot. So what I'm hoping, I can just take one of these red zip ties and maybe melt the plastic into that hole. We'll see if this works. I've never tried this before, but I'm willing to try anything here. Just to try to give this thing a fair shot kind of thing. The ESC is definitely an issue with this particular one. So you can see it's stuffed in there. So I'm going to take my heat gun here, and I'm going to just attempt to melt that into place. So like I said, I've never done this before, but willing to give it a shot. See if it works. Kind of almost seems like it worked. Boy, don't rest your palm on this thing. It's hot. My God, got me good. So it does seem like that worked. I'm gonna give it get the little snips out and snip it off right there. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can pull this screw out. So what it should have done is it should have kind of rethreaded itself, which, I don't know. Did it? Looks like it's got some solder in there. Does seem like it worked. So the question is how is the clearance of it, and maybe I should heat that up just a touch. Does kind of seem like it worked. Pull the pieces of solder off of there. All right, well, the only way to tell is we'll go ahead and throw this pin back in. Seems like it's fine. All right, so we'll toss the axle shaft back in. Get my fingers on there. Toss the axle shaft into its little slot. Put the arm back into position. Seems like it's there. Or at least it's really close. And screw that back in. That's basically where the threads start, right there. There we go. That's in. That's fine. Go ahead and reinstall the skid plate kind of wheelie bar bumper thing. The hardware is not very good. It seems to be very weak. There's also other issues that I'm coming across with this stuff, is the fact that because this hardware that they used is very weak, they used glue on the metal parts. So like, I'll pop a wheel off and just show you what I'm talking about. This car is not the easiest to kind of work on, and I'll show you. So when you're working on the bottom, what you're doing is you're actually crushing the body post, which is fine because it is a very flexible plastic. So some of the negatives about this particular RC car is the fact that the overallness, it's a bigger RC car. They used bigger tires and wheels. I shouldn't say tires and wheels. They used a bigger tire and a different tire. The tire itself is a good tire as far as its traction. Does not have foam, but it also doesn't need foam. I would definitely recommend venting the tires so that when the debris kind of does go in there, you can go ahead and tape up the insides. But in the event that you get debris inside of here, the only way that it's going to get out is if you did have holes on the exterior part of the tires. That RC car over there, that is the HM124 from Bezgar. Now, these essentially are the same size vehicle, but because of the way that one is, that one just performs, in a sense, kind of better than this one, and I think that one's cheaper. Or maybe it's the same price, I don't know. The shocks on this, I don't know. It's just like the shock towers on that thing are really beefy. They did make some good revisions. So it's got a nice front bumper section here. The bumper is definitely impact resistant, which is a positive. It's just this ESC is kind of ruining the whole experience. Now, I did think about popping out this ESC and putting in something real. There is somebody that made a comment and said, you know, you should throw in like, throw in an ESC to replace that. Well, what do you throw in? Do you throw in a hobby wing? And then when you throw in a hobby wing, was that really a wise purchase? Because you just paid $200 or $250 for this thing. For this. Is that really worth it? Is that where you want to be? You're stuck with the same radio, which the radio seems like it's working okay. I kind of almost can't tell because of the issue that I'm having with that ESC receiver combo. The car is taking abuse. Some of the revisions that they did are in a positive way, but it's that price. It's that price for me that's killing it, man. That's damn expensive. I feel like that's pretty expensive for what this thing is. I've got some more 3S packs that I was never able to run through, so we're gonna go outside right now in the crap weather, and we're gonna see if this RC car can continue to take the abuse. Now, I do have the X07. So if my repair with the rear arm and that zip tie melting everything together and burning my arm, if that doesn't work, I can go ahead and take the parts off of the X07 and see if it's going to work with this. I don't remember having an ESC issue with the X07. So like I had said, I may take the ESC receiver combo out of the X07 and toss it into this thing because, yeah, that just might be where it's at. Like I said, I did kind of pulled out my Max 10, my Hobby Wing Max 10. Hobby Wing Max 10 will fit in here. You'll have to put your receiver, I guess, maybe back there. But is that really where you should be with this type of an RC car? This is that toy hobby grade. I guess that's what you call it. You cannot call this thing hobby grade. This is still in that category or classification of toy hobby grade. You can fix it. That's the big difference. You're not going to take these, you know, China junks that you get from Walmart or Target or whatever. You're really not going to be able to, I mean, you maybe can fix those. I just don't think you can. Where are you when it comes to part support on this particular RC car? Can you get the parts in time to enjoy the RC? So let's take this thing out. Like I said, I've got some fully charged 3S packs. I'm gonna see if we can resolve the ESC issue. See if we can find some mysterious settings first. How about that? Let's see if there's some kind of a mysterious ESC programming thing that I can do on this thing. Again, just to give this thing a real shot. There are some kind of positive things about this RC car. It does have semi-flexible parts. I mean, all this is all flexible. All this is all flexible. That was because of launching it. The arms, so all the arms, uppers and lowers, they all go in the same kind of location. Like this one right here can go to that other side, or you can flip it upside down. The way they've done it is it's symmetrical. Do you know what I'm saying? Like all the parts are symmetrical. It's just, I'm not seeing good things with this RC car. If you look at the way the shock towers in the back are bending out, it's because, look at, see what I'm saying? See how the shock tower is flexing too much? It's starting to get a memory to where now the shock top is now hitting the standoff. The front, it's not doing it. The rear, it's doing it. I think because the rear has more weight towards it. So, yeah. So let's see if I can figure out... Whoa! Let's see if I can figure out something with this ESC deal here. Right, so we've got this little 3S pack right here. I'm going to go ahead and just plug it in. And I'm going to press and hold... Switch this around. I'm going to just press and hold the button here. See if it does some kind of something. So, I don't see it doing anything. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about with this. I'm just going to roll on trigger and then let off. Hear that noise? See that? You can see how it's... See how it does that? See that? See that jerk that it does? Because what it's doing is when I go ahead and pull on the trigger, see? When it's coasting and I go to give it throttle again, it locks onto the brake and then it causes an issue. So I know that I had pressed this before. See, why is it flashing? So I'm going to press and hold this again. Let's see if it goes into some setting. See that? Nah. I really feel like I want to give this damn thing a shot, man. Yeah. Nah, that's nothing. What happens if I turn it on and then press and hold the trigger, or not the trigger, press and hold the button. Nah, this thing's got issues, man. It's a shame. It's a shame because I feel like this could have been a fun RC car, but again, I'm not seeing anything on here, and there's nothing in the manual that talks about anything that I can do. Yeah, I don't know. The other thing too I wanted to bring out. So you see how there's a crimp right there in the servo wire? So what's happening is the screws that they used have a flat on them, right? And that flat matches exactly where that wire comes out. And the problem is if you toss a battery pack in here, eventually what will happen is that screw, that metal edge, will cut your servo wire. How do I know? So this is the X07. Tires look the same, don't they? It's because these are Traxxas tires and wheels. So what they did is they kind of mimicked the Traxxas tread pattern almost exactly. So anyways, this is the X07, and the wire right there, if you could see that, right beyond that plastic servo horn, the wire broke because it was up against that metal piece. And in an impact, which does happen, that wire gets cut by pinching of the battery and this. And something probably flexes in this thing. So, but yeah, this is the X07 that I was going to compare the two, but I'll have to fix that servo wire. So the other thing that I've come across with this thing, hear this noise? That's not normal. That should not be happening. It means the battery inside this pack has broke away from whatever they did inside this plastic. So what they talked about is, I think what they were trying to say is the car before this, the plastic of the battery pack was stronger or better. But what's the point of that if the battery inside is flopping around loose? So I am going to crack open this case to see what kind of battery is inside. Got a wheel wrench. We got a loose wheel here, and I'll just pop this one off just to show you. You definitely need to use Loctite on these wheel nuts. So we've got metal components, right? The problem is I believe when they assembled this, you'll have to take a better driver than what they gave you. You got to be careful. But the glue, whatever they used to put this together, you're going to have a heck of a time if you break an upper or a lower arm and that you need to remove this piece, because what's going to happen, number one, the screw is going to strip out. You can't apply heat to it because what you're going to do is you're going to, I mean, not that it matters, but you're going to end up melting the arm anyway because it's broken. I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit of a miss. I guess maybe because the piece is broken, maybe it won't matter. Yeah. I think whatever glue that they used here or whatever it is, it's just too strong and it exceeds the strength of the Phillipsness of the fastener. You know what I'm saying? So like when you stick these bits in, like this one, it's got a real nice bite on it. Shock-wise, the shocks actually seem to be doing okay. I guess what I don't like is the fact that the shock towers actually in the front are starting to lean back. So, but you can definitely see in the rear, see how when you flex this, everything moves? I don't know if you can see it, but all of this like moves, which maybe is a good thing, but maybe it's a bad thing. The rear bumper support, that 5 mile per hour bumper crash support thing, that flexes nice. Again, they did do a better job of the front bumper. They did put a plastic piece that covers the PCB board, or whatever you want to call that, the LED board. I do like that. I do like the fact that they have a metal servo horn, but this right here is a major problem. They do have a heatsink on here. That's appreciated. The motor itself is also kind of like milled, semi like a heatsink. I didn't really experience major heat issues, but we're going to take this thing out right now, give it a run. I'm going to go ahead and spread some Loctite in all 4 corners, and we'll see if the repair that I did with the plastic zip tie and melting it into the crack, we'll see if that actually works. Very quick resolve to the servo wire. It's just an obvious kind of thing. So they do have a brass gear here, which is good. So that means it's a partially metal geared servo. So you got the 4 screws, right? So what I did is remove the 4 screws, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, remove the servo horn, just to kind of get things out of the way. And what you do is you can pop the servo out, take the wire and put it behind the standoff like that. And that resolves the issue with the servo wire being cut. We're gonna see if this thing can redeem itself. It's not gonna because of the ESC. But we are gonna see if it can take the abuse. I think I need to make this more of a ramp. Is it already broken? Yep. Drive shaft popped out of the opposite side. Ah, no, this thing is... Nope. Out of here. Front-wheel drive beast. Front-wheel drive monster. Done with this thing. Piece of garbage. Well, that ended pretty quick. So anyways, this is RC Guy Garage. And this Hosem X08, it just doesn't stand up to the abuse that, it doesn't stand up to the abuse that I kind of expected this RC to. It just doesn't stand up to the abuse that I actually expected this RC to take. So yeah, so this RC is actually a nah. Until like things get resolved, maybe if they send me an ESC receiver combo, whatever, I'll just say right now, nah man, this thing is an absolute waste of your money.
You sure about that?